They called me a traitor. Said I gave away Earth's coordinates in exchange for survival. But the truth is simpler. Crueler, I was left behind. I was the last soldier on Verix-9, a frozen ruin of a moon after the final battle. They didn't come back for me. No signal, no rescue, no goodbye. Just silence and the crackle of my dying comes unit. I dragged my broken leg across glacial soil for days, hallucinating warmth, whispering my own name to stay sane. But I wasn't alone. She appeared like a shimmer through the frost. Tall, impossibly graceful, with skin like liquid pearl and eyes of burning sapphire. No weapon, no words, just a hand offered to me without condition. I laughed, I cried. I took it. 30 seconds passed before I realized she wasn't human, and I didn't care. She brought me to a warm cavern beneath the ice where light grew from the walls and the air tasted like sweet metal. She laid me down on a bed of woven crystal and hovered over me, brushing snow from my face with fingers that pulsed with heat. You are not theirs anymore, she whispered, not in words, but in thought. You are mine now. Intermission. 030 Mark CTA. He was abandoned by Earth, but she made him live again. Keep watching, because sometimes the galaxy saves who we throw away. Her name was Illyria, or at least that's what I heard when she touched my temple. Her voice didn't need language, it danced inside me like a current of music. She wasn't from the empire that burned our fleets. She was something older, stranger, a caretaker of dead places, a collector of things forgotten. She said I wasn't the first human she'd found, but I was the first to open his eyes and ask, "Why are you helping me?" She didn't answer with logic, she answered with warmth. She cradled my ruined body, pressed her forehead to mine, and let her memories flood through me. Loneliness stretching for centuries, planets crumbling, stars going out. She had seen it all, and she saw me. I should have resisted. I should have questioned the power shift, the way she hovered above me like a goddess choosing a pet. But when she slid her hands beneath my armor, not with hunger but with reverence, I surrendered, not because I was weak, but because for the first time in my life, someone saw my brokenness as beautiful. Illyrian touched without fear. She ran her luminous fingers along the scar on my chest and said, "This pain is not shameful. It is proof you endured." Her body was nothing like a human woman's, taller, leaner, soft where we're hard, and strong where we're vulnerable. But when she laid beside me, breath syncing with mine, it didn't matter. We fit. Not mechanically, spiritually, like two ends of a war, finally understanding what the other side had been fighting for. She didn't take me. She kept me, slowly, sensually. Her lips brushed my pulse points like she was studying me, as if memorizing the rhythm of my breath was a sacred rite. And when she kissed me, fully pressing her otherworldly warmth into the hollow space Earth had left behind, I didn't just feel pleasure. I felt chosen. That night, as the ice winds howled above and the stars spun on their distant axes, she whispered promises into the curve of my ear. Promises no human had ever dared to make. You are not forgotten. You are not waste. You are mine, and I will give you everything they took. And I believed her, not because I needed saving, but because she needed me to a mirror, to her own exile. A heartbeat in the silence, a man Earth gave up, and she gave back to the universe. I woke to the sensation of her hand pressed flat against my sternum, fingers splayed, glowing faintly like bioluminescent veins pulsing through her skin. My wounds no longer throbbed. The pain was replaced by a slow, humming warmth spreading through my chest. It wasn't medicine. It wasn't technology. It was her, feeding me light. Her light. I opened my eyes and found her watching me with that unreadable gaze, equal parts reverence and ache. She hadn't slept. I don't know if she ever did. She seemed powered by something else entirely. She hovered closer, her face inches from mine, the tips of her hair floating like strands of soft silver gravity. "You were fading," she murmured, not in words, but in vibrations that wrapped around my skull like silk. "I didn't let you." I reached for her then, not out of desperation, but desire, the kind that doesn't erupt like fire but simmers, builds, becomes need. She didn't flinch as I touched her waist, feeling the smooth alien contours of her form. Her body felt real warm, curved, alive but laced with something electric beneath the surface. "Alirin," I whispered. "What are you doing to me?" She didn't answer with logic. She answered with her lips pressing them to mine, like a question she already knew I would answer. And I did, not with words, but with every breath I gave her back. Intermission, 0:30 mark, CTA, she saved his body. Now she's claiming his soul. If you think this was just about survival, keep watching, because this is where surrender becomes something holy. Her kiss deepened. Her hips straddled mine. But it wasn't violent, or rushed, or greedy. It was sacred. A slow claiming of space, of connection, of healing. As if she were translating the language of stars into touch. My hands roamed across her skin, finding heat and tremor where flesh met light. She responded to me with soft gasps, delicate and curious, like someone rediscovering joy. I wasn't just a man to her. I was an anchor, a tether to a species she'd watched burn itself out a dozen times on other worlds. But me, I was still. Here, flesh, heart, craving, and she needed that. She leaned down and pressed her forehead against mine again, breath mingling with mine. "You are no longer of Earth," she told me. "Your name is no longer theirs." My pulse thundered. "Then what am I?" "Hers," she breathed. "Mine." Her hips moved against me in slow circles. I groaned because it wasn't just pleasure. It was emotion. It was centuries of solitude colliding with the raw intimacy of now. She wasn't just riding my body. She was learning my soul, and I was giving it willingly. She made love like it was ritual, like it stitched stars together, like she was building a cathedral from my bones and her breath. When I climaxed, it wasn't a release, was communion, and when she came with me, her entire body arched with light, a brilliant cascade of golden fire sweeping through the cavern ceiling above. Crystals bloomed, lights pulsed. The world seemed to respond to her ecstasy, and in that moment I understood. I wasn't just being loved, I was being chosen by something divine. When it was over, she collapsed beside me, her skin still flickering faintly with residual glow. I reached for her half-man, half-melted shadow and held her close. "You don't even know my name," I said, barely able to speak. She traced her fingers across my lips. "Names are for those who are lost." I stared into her endless blue eyes. "Then what am I now?" She smiled, soft, otherworldly, infinite. "You are found." The days didn't pass in any way I could measure. There was no sun on this frozen moon, no clock ticking down the seconds between pulses of light, but I didn't need time anymore. I had her, Alirin, a goddess without worship, a warrior without war, and Naumeen. She spent her hours not just healing me, but learning me, my scars, my stories, my silences. And in return, she let me see her cracks. She didn't need to eat, but she did anyway when I did. She didn't need to sleep, but she lay beside me, her body curved into mine as if our spines had always been meant to align. When I asked her why she stayed, she said nothing. She just held me tighter. But peace never stays long, not even in paradise. Carved from ice, it began with the vibrations, subtle, far off, but she felt them first. Her body went rigid in my arms, eyes narrowing, skin dimming from bright pearl to steely blue. "They've found you," she said. Her voice didn't rise, but the cavern trembled. "Who?" I asked, already knowing the answer. She stood in one fluid motion, her body flickering with gold lines that raced down her spine like lightning. "The ones who left you behind. The Earth warship that entered orbit wasn't large, but it was loud, brash, armed, human. The same emblem still burned on the shoulder of my ruined armor. My throat went dry. They came back," I whispered. "No," she said, her expression colder than I'd ever seen it. "They came to finish what they started. Intermission 030 Mark CTA. He was their soldier. Now he's her reason to fight. Keep watching, because what comes next isn't just war. It's love with teeth." I didn't recognize the commander's voice when it came through the ancient relay. I sat beside her glowing console as she decoded the signal, her fingers dancing across alien glyphs. Unregistered life form detected in former engagement zone. Approaching for threat containment. I felt sick. They weren't here for me. They were here for her. I stood up, still weak, still healing but furious. "We have to leave." She turned to me, and for the first time, she looked afraid. "I cannot leave this place. I am bound to it." "Then what do we do?" I asked. She didn't answer with plans. She answered by placing her palm over my heart. "You do not fight." "I do." Her armor emerged from the walls, liquid metal forming over her body in a cascade of light and steam. She looked like a storm sculpted into feminine form, radiant and terrible. A Lyran. I tried to stop her. "They'll kill you." She leaned in, her lips brushing my ear. "Then they will learn how gods bleed." She launched into the sky like a comet. I ran after her, limping, screaming, but the moment I broke the surface, I saw it, her figure streaking through the atmosphere, trailing fire as she slammed into their drop pod before it touched ground. The explosion cracked the sky open. She fought like she was mine, like I was the last sacred thing left in a universe that had taken everything else from her. And when they tried to fire their weapons, her body shimmered and bent the light itself. Shields formed from grief, from rage, from love. One soldier tried to aim a plasma rifle toward the cavern entrance, toward me. She broke his bones without touching him. I watched her cut through men I used to call brothers, not with cruelty, but with precision, mercy wrapped in vengeance. And when the final gunship tried to lift off, she stood beneath it, held her hands to the sky, and screamed. It fell like a wounded bird when it was over. She stood covered in ash and bloodless soot, her chest heaving, her skin flickering between brilliance and burnout. I ran to her. I held her as she dropped to her knees. "They were your people," she whispered. "No," I said, lifting her face. "You are." She kissed me in the wreckage, in the shadow of the ship that once would have taken me home. But I had no home left except her arms, and in that kiss-dawn, trembling, tender, I knew the truth. She wasn't guarding me like a lover. She was guarding me like I was her war. The battlefield went silent long after the smoke faded. What was left of Earth's retrieval team lay broken in the snow-dusted crater. Their metal still warm, their pride still burning, but their mission dead. I watched her, my alien goddess, kneel beside a fallen soldier, not to gloat, but to grieve. She touched the man's shattered chest plate, her expression unreadable. They thought I'd taken something that was theirs, she said softly, without looking at me. But they were wrong. You were never theirs to begin with. I didn't answer. I didn't have words for the storm I felt inside me, guilt, fury, awe. I limped toward her, still broken in places her light hadn't yet reached, and offered my hand. She didn't take it. Not yet. You saw me, she continued, and they saw them. Her voice thickened, weighted with centuries of loneliness. I was never your enemy, but they made me one, so I ended it. I finally reached her, dropped to my knees in the snow and cupped her face between my hands. Her skin flickered like starlight when it touched mine. You didn't end anything. I said, you saved me. Only then did she let herself fall into me. We held each other for hours, maybe longer. I didn't count the stars that passed. I only remember the moment her armor dissolved into mist, the way her breath hitched when I laid her down against the still warm surface of the wrecked Earth ship, and the way her body arched when I kissed her not with need, but with knowing. Intermission. 030 marks CTA. She killed for him, bled light for him, but tonight, she's going to love him like he's the only war that ever mattered. Stay, this night, rewrites everything. We made love in the shadow of war. Among twisted steel and fallen banners, her skin, soft as moonlight, glowed beneath me. She trembled with a vulnerability I'd never seen before, but because she was weak, but because she had no armor left to hide behind. Not with me, I whispered. Her name with reverence, dragging my lips down the elegant curve of her neck, over the pulse point that shimmered like a galaxy condensed into a heartbeat. Her hands clenched in my hair as if anchoring herself to the moment to me, and when I slid into hers low, deep, unhurried, it wasn't lust. It was devotion. Her moans weren't cries of pleasure. They were declarations of faith, of connection, of belonging. Mine, she whispered. Yes, I breathed. Yours. Her body moved like it was sculpted to fit mine. Her legs wrapped around me, pulling me deeper into something neither of us had words for. And above us, the stars pulsed responding to her climax, as if the cosmos itself bent to her pleasure. The wind changed. The wreckage glowed. Something ancient stirred in the soil beneath us. And when she finally came, crying my name in a voice that cracked across the sky, the stars, those damned indifferent stars, flared white. She made them kneel, and I, the man, Earth discarded, held the most powerful being I'd ever known as she trembled in my arms, vulnerable, radiant, human in all the ways that mattered. We lay there, tangled in each other, sweat cooling on skin that no longer felt alien. Her fingers traced invisible constellations across my chest. I listened to her breath even out. I didn't think you'd stay, she said. I didn't think I had a choice, I replied, brushing her hair from her face. Not after you gave me back more than Earth ever did. She closed her eyes. Then let this be your planet. I blinked. What? This place, this crater, this sky. Let it be yours now. A world where you are not abandoned, where your name matters, where we matter. And I knew what she meant. This wasn't just a battlefield, it was a rebirth, a vow, a universe rewritten, not with blood but with love. She gave me everything Earth tried to burn out of me, and in return, I gave her a reason to feel alive again. The first time I called her by her name, truly called it, wasn't in lust or in awe. It was in reverence. It was morning, or something like it. The skies above Verix 9 shimmered with a slow lavender hue, not from sunlight but from the softened glow of the planetary auroras flickering overhead. I watched them from the mouth of the cave, her body draped over mine like silk forged from memory and heat. "Illyrin," I whispered, her eyes opened slowly, no longer defensive, no longer watching for warships or betrayal, just soft, curious, like maybe the galaxy could finally rest. "You said it right," she murmured. "I felt it," I said. "Not with my voice, with something deeper." She smiled, her fingers drawing spirals across my chest. "Names mean more here. On my world, they're not just sounds, they're offerings." I brushed her jaw, felt her warmth, then take mine, her breath hitched. "Are you certain?" I nodded. Earth gave me up. My name died with their silence. But you gave me everything they never could. You gave me meaning, light, love. If I am to be someone now, let me be yours." She sat up slowly, straddling me, her bare body glowing faintly in the twilight. "Then say it," she whispered. "Let this world hear who you choose to become." And I did. I spoke her name again, Illyrin, not as a title, but as a bond. And in return, she reached forward, placed her hand over my chest, and whispered a name I had never heard before. Not the name Earth gave me, not the one stamped on my dog tags. A new name, one woven in the ancient hum of her people. It danced on, my skin like light. It wrapped around my heart like a vow. From that moment, I wasn't just hers, I was of her. Intermission 030, Mark CTA. This isn't just about a man who survived. This is about a woman who chose him over Starzand, a love that made even warships fade into silence. Stay for the name that changed everything. Later that morning, she took me to the altar buried beneath the glacial caverns, a place she once said only the bonded were allowed to see. I didn't ask what it meant. I didn't have to. The walls pulsed with old energy, stories etched into crystal and gold, murals of creatures long gone, her ancestors, maybe, her pain, her memories. But on the far wall, something had changed. A new image had formed, our silhouettes entwined. Her hand on my chest, my lips on hers. It hadn't been carved by tools. It had grown, like the cave itself had witnessed us and decided to honor what it saw. She turned to me. "This is our vow," she said. "Here, nothing forgets." And then she knelt, not out of submission, but power, grace. She reached for my hand, placed it over her heart, and said, "I give you my name." Illyrin, I didn't understand the full weight of it until I felt the pulse in my chest change, as if our heartbeats had linked, as if her essence now lived in me. The lights in the chamber flared, the air grew warm, and then she rose again, pressed her forehead to mine, and kissed me like the galaxy had stopped spinning just to witness us. We made love on the stone floor of that sacred cavern, slow, endless, devout. Her body moved with mine in rhythm to the heartbeat of the planet. I traced my lips over the glowing patterns on her skin, felt her body open to me like a temple unlocking. She whispered things into my ear in her native tongue, sounds I couldn't translate, but felt, words like sanctuary, like chosen, like forever. When she came, her body shuddered like the moment creation first breathed. When I followed, I wasn't just a man emptying himself into another. I was becoming when it was done, we lay in the silence. Not the silence of death or exile, but peace. She pulled me close and said, "We'll leave when you're ready. I'll show you the other moons, the old ruins, the galaxies that still sing." "And if they find us again?" I asked. She smiled, fierce, beautiful, unshakable. "Then I'll remind them that I am not their enemy, but I am yours, and you are mine." I pressed a kiss to her shoulder. "Earth gave me up," I whispered, "but you gave me everything." And in the warmth of her arms, I believed it forever.